there is going to be different country and the regional data privacy law, like in the China, in the Japan, we have the APPI, Russian data protection law, APAC privacy framework, GDPR, NIS, EU, US Shield. These kind of things are different over here. So when we'll be starting, we'll be reviewing some of the country and the regional data privacy law. So we will start with the Australia and the New Zealand privacy principle. So first one is the your Australia and the New Zealand privacy principles. So here in 1988, they come up with the Australian National Privacy Act that was styled after your European Union principle of privacy, and it it regulates the collection, storage, and securing the processing and disclosure of that personal information. And like many other EU Privacy Protection Act, the National Privacy Principle listed the Privacy Act actually reflect greater assurance of data privacy and individual data subject. And emphasis is also placed on the healthcare information and health service provider like US equivalent of the HIPAA. So this thing was revised in the 2014, where they have include the data privacy more, kind of a health information, its protection, all those kind of things they have included around 2014 there as well. Then there is the China cybersecurity law. So China's cybersecurity law, it actually, when we are talking about this pays more attention to the protection of personal information and individual privacy. This law has standardized the collection and use of the personal information. Now, enterprise, they should focus not only on the data security, but also on the individual privacy protection, which is of very greater significance. Now, this law presents clear definition of network operation and security. This part. This also talk about the network operation and security requirement. And most of the larger financial institution may become the network operator, because they are focusing on that you should be protecting your network as well from where you are consuming the service. Now, this law places greater demand on the protection of the key information, your key information infrastructure. And foreign enterprise are an organization normally need to transfer information outside China. The security law for them it is saying that the sensitive data must be stored locally, and penalties are there for there is penalties for your violating these law, which is clearly stated and include the suspension of business activity, and serious illegal action may lead to the closure of business or revocation of the license over there as well. So these are the few things that is over there, right? And as I was saying, that it focus on the mainly on the key infrastructure scope of the how hold not only on the data but also the infrastructure where you are protecting or storing the data. For that as well, it is very strict one. That's why I was saying that most of the network your organizations, they are they may become network operator, because they larger financial institution, because the data where you are intriguing or where you are sending to which network, that should also be protected properly. Then there will come the Japanese Act of the Japanese Act on Protection of Personal Information, APPI. So this Japanese Act on the protection of personal information, it required private sector to protect personal information and data security. These are there are several other national laws such as Act of Protection of Personal Information held by administrative organs, and law pertaining to be very specific to the sector such as your healthcare industry. Now, this APPI, it distinguishes two categories of protected data. One is personal information, another one is your special care, special care required. So the first one refer to your PII, okay, such as name, date, birth, email, address, biometric data. And special care required is personal information in a new category that is under the amend your APP. P, P, right? This is information that could possibly be used as a basis for discrimination or prejudice, including medical history, marital status, race, religious beliefs, criminal record. So, how to protect them? These things are there because people can be a bit uh, discriminating you against on the basis of that. So, how to handle those kind of data. So, it is just focusing on two kind of things. So, same which I keep calling as the SPI, spatial sensitive personal information, my bad. Okay, sensitive personal information, this is going to be in there. Then there is the Russian data protection law. So the Russian data protection law contains significant restriction on the data processing. It includes a requirement for consent for most form of the data processing. However, most important aspect of Russian legal framework regarding the handle of PII, its data localization law. So since September 2015, companies are required to store the personal data of Russian citizen within the Russia, right? Then there is the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Privacy Framework, APAC. So the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation Privacy Framework, it aimed to create greater prosperity for the people of the region by providing balanced, inclusive, sustainable, innovative, and secure growth by accelerating regional economic integration, right? And in 2011, the APEC leader, they issue a directive to implement the APEC cross-border privacy rule. So these rules, they kind of creating a balance in the flow of information and data across the borders, while the at the same time providing effective protection for your personal information as well. And there is a body that certify the accountability, okay, of the all the privacy practices that you have in all your organization. So you also need a third party verifier, which will be known as the accountability agent, that will follow a set of commonly agreed upon rule based on the APEC privacy to confirm the compliance over there. So if you have to transfer your data cross border, you will be requiring something, some set of rules will be agreed upon based on the APEC, and your third party verifier, which will be accountability agent, is going to verify that yes, you are following these rules over there. And then let's just talk about the sum of your European Union and your European Economic Area itself in the laws. So first we'll be starting with the year 1995 with the EU Data Protective Directive 9546 EC. So in that year, there was, what they make individual right very strong so that collection and use of personal data was limited to minimum necessary. So individuals were clearly informed in a transparent way how, why, and by whom the data was, that was about them are being used. And it even introduced this thought of a right to be forgotten while surfing the online. So that was the, individual's right was pretty much focused on over there. Now, it has the element of enhancing the single market dimension by reducing the administrative burden on companies and ensuring true level field. So within the EU, you can feel like you are in a single market. So you don't have that extra administrative burden over there. And then there was a revision of these data protection rules in the area of policy and criminal justice so that individuals' personal data was protected in these under the your Lisbon Treaty. Then there was also greater effective enforcement by the rule by strengthening and further harmonizing the rule and power of data protection authority. So protection on the data that would be transferred outside of EU was being taken care of over here.